Hello and welcome. In this video I will be making a chopping board from my offcuts of Iroko and English Plain. Welcome to the channel Wild Tail Creative Design. My name is Jurek. Thank you for joining. On the left we have two pieces of offcuts from English Plain, and on the right hand side is an old offcut from Iroko. Really lovely pieces with loads of character in it. Okay, let's start with squaring off the first edge so that I will have a nice starting point when I will be using the table saw to cut this piece into smaller strips. And now it's time to cut. There will be quite a bit of this, so I will speed it up. It is my first go on this new 1960 table saw. It is just 900 watts table saw, so it's not, strictly speaking, powerful enough to cut through all the thickness of the hardwood. I gave it a few goes. On some occasions I tried to cut in one go through the whole thickness. On some occasions I did it in few passes. I think in two passes it was actually better, and the cut was a little bit cleaner overall. I bought this Startrite table saw model 165 a few weeks ago. I bought it secondhand on eBay. The guy was selling this in London, so it took me 8 hours to get it round trip, but I think it was worth it. Overall, including fuel, I paid for it 300 odd pounds, so I think it was a reasonably good deal. This multi-core surface planer is as well a new addition. It is 6.25 inch wide. I have to say that I love the way the grain looks of this English Plain. It's a English hardwood, and this one was grown apparently around London. Now it is time to cut some Iroko. Actually, it was a little bit easier than English Plain. I think I took it a little bit slower. And yes, I am aware that the blade is for crosscut, not rip cut. Hence, it was a little bit more painful to go through so many cuts. I think I will have to upgrade and just buy another blade for the future projects. Now it's time to use my thicknesser. It's a Metabo model DH330. I have to say that I really enjoy using it. It's so satisfying to see a rough piece of timber going through it, and then it's maybe not pristine, but it's really nice and smooth. I like the finish. It took me a little bit of time to set it up right, and on most of the occasions I don't get a snipe at the end. Sometimes, very infrequently, it happens a little bit. Whoops, a little bit of a timber has been ripped out. I should have run more pieces of timber at the same time just to have some spares. Unfortunately, I didn't, so I will have to repeat the exercise again. Now it's time to put all the pieces together, and it's fun part. In theory, all of it should match and should be a perfect fit, but never is. And it's just nice to play with the grain setup, just to see the pattern, the colors, and the fit of individual pieces. So it just takes a few goes, but I think it's just worth investing a couple of minutes just to play it, switch it, the sequence, orientation, just to get a really nice finish. And I still love how the grain looks like. There is so much in it. I love the details. It is time to put some sellotape to protect timber from any stains when I will be doing the glue up, and preventing the glue to sticking to the pieces that I don't want it to stick. So it's a bit of a tedious process. Yes, I should have invested and bought a wider tape, but unfortunately I did run out of it. Hence it took me a little bit longer, but it's worth it. So I protected all the pieces of timber that I will be clamping with, And I tried to apply a tape as well to the clamps so that there will be no staining from the clamps by accident with the glue and the timber where it will be touching each other. It is time to glue all the pieces together now. It is a bit of a messy process. That's why I'm using usually a large piece of paper or polyurethane sheet just to protect my workspace. I know it's messy because, as you can probably guess, I'm working on another project in the meantime. So this board was like a fill-up job. The board on the left hand side is the main board that I have those cutoffs from which I'm making this chopping board. My main project will be actually to make a massive dining table and coffee table. So this is something that is coming over the next weeks. I'm now waiting for the temperature to pick up in UK. It's at the minute around 3 degrees, so it's a little bit too nippy to actually play with resin. I have the same problem now when I'm clamping those pieces. Ideally, I would like to move them into the house so that the temperature will be at least 15 degrees so that the glue will be able to cure better. Unfortunately, I don't have space and option to move it in, hence it's staying in the shed, and it is rather on the cold side, hence it takes a little bit longer for glue to cure. You can't have too many clamps. Within 2 days, the glue nearly cured, so it is time to unclamp it all. It's time to clean up glue. As you can see, there are still quite a few white spots. It means that the glue didn't fully cure, but it's just on the surface. However, the glue between the boards is already translucent and it is fully cured. So it's time to remove it. Time to cut it, and the tricky part is to cut it from both sides so that I will be cutting off all the imperfections from both sides, which are not always visible or symmetrical. So it just took me a little bit of time just to set it up nicely, just to maximize the size of the board. Time for sanding. I do like my belt sander, Erbauer one. They usually come with a long cable, which is quite handy. This one is quite powerful, does the job, and it was a really good value for money. And on that occasion, there was a little bit of a difference in thickness between Iroko and English Plain, and that belt sander did the job really, really nice. It saved me a lot of time in comparison to oscillating sander, and it was quite smooth and sleek at the end of the process. After sanding, quite a few little imperfections were visible, so I want to patch them up. And the best way is just to use the wood glue mixed with the dust from sanding, which is a perfect combination that it will be almost invisible later on after it will be fully cured. So I'm just mixing this by eye so that the consistency will be good enough so I can squeeze it into the gaps and little pores of the timber. My trusted little helper is always somewhere in the background watching me doing, or sometimes she's just slightly distracting, but it's good to have her around. And a little bit more sanding just to finish it off nicely. Next stage is to use the router to provide a nice 3mm radius to most of the edges. Actually, at the top I decided to use 1/4 inch, which is, let's say, 6mm radius, which is quite nice so that it will be more durable and it will be harder to damage the edges when the board will be in use. It's a bit of a tedious process just to set up the depth of the router nicely, and once you get it right, it's really satisfying to see the progress. And you can see now a few little imperfections, but nothing that the sandpaper cannot solve. That is a natural imperfection in the timber. I think I'll just leave it as a nice feature. A few little imperfections still left, So I had to do another round of filling up with the glue with dust mixed up. So all this will be sorted out in the second round of patching up little imperfections. It is quite a chunky board, and I was just playing with the thickness of the board and how to create some sensible handhold so it will be easier just to lift it off the table. So I will be using this router bit just to trim it. Probably I should have used different one, but I just want to have a nice curved round edge from the inside. Probably a combination of round edge and a flat end bit would be better, but again, trying to do it by hand when there is not enough space to lean on, it was quite tricky, but I'm quite happy with overall size so that the inside part of the board has a nice round profile, so it is really nice when you touch it. And now another change for a 3mm round bit, just to provide a really nice clean finish so that it will be really pleasant to touch and just lift it. And now it is time for the final sanding. Used a little bit of a water spray just to raise the grain of the timber. Let it saturate a little bit and then a very gentle sanding off. That's a first preview of how the board will actually look like. And I have to say, I do love the grain pattern. It's just so rich. I'm using Osmo oil, which is food safe, on the finish. I usually apply it in 2 coats. Considering the temperature in my shed, I usually like to heat it up in a bowl of hot water, and that way it is a little bit easier to work with. It's always really satisfying to see how the color of the timber pops out during the process of application of the oil. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I do love the way the board came out. It was a bit of a learning process for me just to use my new tools. It was satisfying. Constructive feedback is always welcome, so if you have any comments, please type it below. I would really enjoy feedback. I would like to improve on my videos, and if you would like to see a little bit different stuff or elaborate on other parts of the video, just let me know. I have no idea if 13 minutes is too long, too short. Should I make it a little bit shorter, quicker, or keep it running and show a little bit more details how I did it? Thank you. Cheers. Bye.